Hello there, baby. You look pretty cute today, if I do say so myself. My name is Monish, and I've been in 3 Inktobers thus far, and I can say this with full confidence. You can start Inktober with the right equipment, but you can only finish it with the right equipment. You get me? Let's continue. Okay, the right equipment is what? The right equipment lets you have fun. It makes you want to come back and do the next prompt. And that's basically what I've based this entire list off of today. We're starting with sketchbooks, and we're going to work our way up to the lesser and lesser important stuff in the future. Right now, we begin. Sketchbooks. சிவரிருந்தால்தான் சித்திரம் வரைய முடியும். This is an old saying in Tamil, which means you cannot draw unless you have a canvas too. This essentially translates to something about the human body, but I'm going to take this at face value and apply it to our situation here. So, only if you have a canvas can you paint. Canvas can be a metaphor for whatever your art form is too. So, let's keep it that way. Sketchbooks. A4, A5, A3, heaven forbid. All of these are sizes you can get them in. But what's the best size to get a sketchbook in if it's your first Inktober? Well, it's A6. And my answer to you is based on the signs of motivation. What do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty simple. If it's a smaller piece of paper, it's easier to fill. So, brain think, easy fill, I fill paper good, I draw tomorrow. That's the basic mentality behind all of this. And if you get yourself a A6 sketchbook alone and nothing else on this list today, you will end up finishing Inktober. I can give you that as a 75% promise. The rest 25% is what I'm gonna cover in this video, okay? So, when you're getting the sketchbook, if it's your second attempt at Inktober or your second Inktober, what you would like to do is make sure you get a lot of fun inking stuff. So make sure the sketchbook you're getting is apt for that. Like, make sure it's watercolor compatible if you use watercolor on a daily basis. Cold pressed paper, look for that. If you use alcohol markers, look for hot pressed paper. And look for higher GSMs when you're using this type of ink, watercolor or alcohol marker type stuff, because it's usually needed there. And if you've looked at the sketchbook, the next thing you'll want to get is ink and a way to put the ink on paper. So we're going to talk about that right now. So if you want to be the old-fashioned way and do Inktober with ink, I suggest getting yourself a Sable size 3 brush, and that is actually the best brush to ink with. I actually love it when I put the ink on paper with the brush size 3. It's just a feeling you can't describe but only feel. Try getting it and you'll know what I'm talking about. The next is essentially to get yourself Indian ink in specific. Why Indian ink? Well, because it's waterproof. And if you finish Inktober and then want to add colors to your illustration, you can actually do that. Or when you're doing Inktober, you want just to put a small splash of paint onto the piece of paper, you can actually do that with this method. Okay, the next is essentially the other mediums of putting ink on paper, which is number 1, a brush pen, number 2, a dip pen, and number 3, just your good old-fashioned micron tip pens. We're going to cover all 3 of them. So a dip pen is basically how a normal fountain pen feels to write on paper. It's exactly that feeling, replicated. When you use a dip pen, the nib feels really nice and grainy. That texture, you feel that, and it makes the drawing really interesting in my opinion. And I personally use a dip pen a lot of the times, and I like to use brush pens as well. Brush pen meaning Pentel pocket brush. That is actually the best brush pen I have encountered in a long time, and I've encountered a few. Yeah, so the Pentel brush pen, it works wonders. And if you're getting this Inktober, then it's gonna be really fun for you to draw with because of the fluidity. Since it's really fluid, you'll concentrate on your line strokes, and that will lead you to a feeling of flow, which is all that is about drawing. Okay, that came out a lot weirder than what was in my head, so pardon me for that. The next thing we're going to look at is obviously watercolor and alcohol markers and just other mediums in general, so that you can add some color to your drawings after you've made the drawings. Okay, so first let's look at watercolor and brushes for watercolor, and then I'll give you my recommendations for the alcohol markers. Let's start now. So if you want to get yourself a brush, I'll tell you to get 4 brushes instead, because that's actually useful when you're making watercolor illustrations. So if you're only gonna get one brush, I suggest going with this thing called a mop brush, and get a medium size brush so that you can cover smaller and bigger areas alike. But what I like to do instead is, for watercolor, have one medium flat brush, one small flat brush, one small and big round brush. That's literally all that I have in my possession for painting stuff. And I don't do very intricate illustrations. Most of my stuff is cartoony. Maybe that's because of that. But so, if you want to do watercolor, this is more than enough. The brushes I talked about, the paint I shall talk about now. Okay, for paint, starters is you need to get yourself something that is vibrant and blah 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 and so on, right? I'm gonna give you a one-stop solution. This paint is called Kokyoyo Camlin, and I believe it's better than what Winsor & Newton offers in their package at the same price every single time. Not at the same price even. When I get myself a 800 rupee, which is basically around $10 pack of watercolors from Kokyoyo Camlin, the artist set, it is actually better than the UK manufactured watercolor artist grade stuff some of the times. So you need to think about what kind of quality that would require that piece of paint to have. Okay, Kokyoyo Camlin, one good recommendation. But say I wanted alcohol markers, then Ohuhu is a cheap option which is also really good. Get the brush markers one though. I got the other one and it was kind of okay, but meh. So, brush markers are really cool, and if you want, you can get the alcohol ones. That was quite literally about what I had for this video, and I think I even managed to include a few things that I did not think I would include today. I have more such catalogs of videos in my pockets, so if you're interested in looking at those videos from my pockets, subscribe to the channel. That was pretty cheesy, but yeah. Thank you for watching again. My name is Monish, channel's name's Monster. Jog up the algorithm, like button, comment section, whatever the hell. And yeah. Bye. Brofist.